Welcome back to Self-Built. Today is a review video. It is a 1.5 year review of QuickJacks. I can't believe I've had these for already a 1.5 years. These are the 7000 TL model. I picked these up off of Costco because at that point in time they were the cheapest. I know Amazon also carries these as well, so I'll leave a link in the description on just if you want to pull them up really fast. My main focus of this video is to tell you my experience, the durability of these, a couple ups and downs, and I've got 3 pretty simple and easy improvements that make these so much more user-friendly that I wish they would already incorporate. But don't you worry, I'll show you how you can upgrade your own and make it a lot easier. If you're new to QuickJacks, a quick rundown is these are a portable car lift or truck lift that you can have in your own garage. You're able to store them up to where they're not taking up much space, and then when you need them, you're able to basically have a pretty close feel to a full mechanic shop. I think the highest point that you can raise your vehicle is about 28 inches or so. I'll leave it on the screen if it's different than that. But all you do is you'll just slide these under your car, whatever lifting point that you have, whatever kind of jacking point that your vehicle has, you'll get it set up. And then you just simply push a button and raise it. Long gone are the days where you have to jack up each corner of your car and then put a jack stand underneath it to hold it. You're able to quickly lift all 4 points off the ground and do what you need to do and then just put it back. It saves a lot of time when you're needing to lift your car completely off the ground. I've used this thing a ton. I've used it on multiple vehicles and some vehicles that are pretty low to the ground. The lowest vehicle I've worked on was a Cadillac CTS-V, which those are pretty low to the ground, and this is still able to sneak underneath and get it up on the ground, no problems. An easy example of something that I'll use this for pretty regularly is whenever I'm doing an oil change, I'll typically do a tire rotation at the same time. Since I've got the vehicle in the air, I might as well just do it. I don't have to go to every point and lift it up, which is so nice. It's very stable too. You can push up against it, and it's pretty rock solid. You don't want to go crazy with it, of course, but it's pretty impressive on how stable it can be. As far as the durability goes with these things, I haven't noticed any wear and tear. Nothing's gotten any worse. The quality's been great. Going over the 3 big upgrades, I'd recommend everyone to do their QuickJacks. First would be to put some wheels underneath yours. It makes it so much easier to get it into position. I just went to Harbor Freight. I think it had 1-inch linear bearings, I think it's what they're called. And this wasn't even supposed to be the full design. This was just a test run thing. I just put double-sided tape on the frame, and I was gonna maybe put a zip tie on it or maybe put an actual bolt and thread it and make it really fancy. But with all the times I've used it, they haven't even come off. So I'm like, heck, I'm not even gonna bother. I'm not gonna do any extra work. But if you wanna do it more secure, help yourself, that's totally fine. But I can tell you after a 1.5 years of use that just simple double-sided tape and having the surface prepped to where it can take something sticky and have it adhere very well, it does the job. Now you might not be able to off-road with it, but with a simple garage that's got pretty flat concrete, it does the job. It's also a very cheap upgrade. It was less than 20 bucks. It's super cheap and super easy. When you don't have the wheels on there, you gotta kind of shove it, and sometimes you'll over push and overcorrect of where you want it to be positioned, and it just kind of gets a little bit of a pain. Nice thing to know is once it starts to lift off the frame, if you've got it in the same points that I do, once you lift it off, they don't get in the way. There's no issues at all. It's very handy. And then once it's back down, you can just roll it out of the way. Second upgrade is even easier. When you're moving the jack to the vehicle, when you're moving it a long distance, there's some built-in wheels on this side. And something that would happen quite a bit is this would get in the way. I'd start running over the hose. It would just get annoying, and I didn't like that. So a simple fix, little zip tie right here, where you can just have it hang on to it so it's out of the way, doesn't flop around. And when you have it stored, the hose doesn't get in the way. It's just a no-brainer, super easy thing here. I've got the zip tie just resting underneath the linear bearing. So it's not going to go anywhere. It's not going to go down or anything. I've got it just to that right size to where this will fit in, and it'll also be tight enough to where it's pretty snug, doesn't go anywhere. Third upgrade is I changed out the quick connectors for something aftermarket. The problem that I had with the quick connectors seems to be a pretty common problem to where the O-rings will tear. Not only will it leak, which I can live with that, and it makes it extremely difficult to try to disconnect. And when it's underneath the car and you're trying to figure out what's going on, because there is that locking mechanism to makes it to where you have to have the collar positioned just right for it to release. And typically it's under the car where you can't see. It's not a good sight, especially after you're done with a long day of wrenching. So I got rid of those, needless to say, because the replacements were pretty expensive and they didn't seem to last very long. So I got these just off of Amazon. I've got a video that is solely based on replacing these and where to find them. I can leave a link on these, but essentially these are still quick connectors. They're not 100% leak proof. It'll leak a little bit, but the build is so much better. They're going to be reliable. They're not going to let you down, and they're not going to ruin your day. Small little tip for you. A lot of cars have pinch welds nowadays. There's two options you can do. If you want to do the more friendly option that you can use for all your buddies coming in, the more universal option you can do, instead of having your beautiful new rubber blocks getting chewed up by those pinch welds, you can just go on Amazon and just buy the cheapest ones that have a little slit in the middle, so it'll pretty much help. And honestly, if these get chewed up as opposed to these, I don't care. I'll buy some more. These weren't very expensive, and it just makes it to where you can work on all different types of vehicles without causing any damage. If it's your personal vehicle and you want to have something a little bit more permanent, something that I put on my Jeep is something that will thread onto the bottom of the subframe, which is right on the pinch welds, and then you can use these rubber ones and just have it lift up just normally. It's really nice for a couple things. It lets you know exactly where to position the lifting points, and it looks kind of cool. You can see I've got the wall-mounted QuickJacks. You don't have to do their brand, but if you've got some way to have them off the floor and on the wall, that's definitely a nice way to save some space. Along with saving space, you can also put in some custom shelving. This was just dirt cheap, super easy, just 2x4s. You paint them red, they look cool, and everything's accessible, looks good, and it's been one of my favorite things in my garage. If you're curious on how to build something like this, I can also leave the link on the video that I did with this one too. As you can see, I replaced all the QuickJack connectors, so if you have any questions on sizes or anything, I'll leave the video that I replaced it all. It'll have everything, all the links, so that way if you're curious, there's no guesswork. I can show you right there. Some cons you can run into, if you're ever working in the cold weather, it's probably high 30s right now. And as you may know, if you have a compressor or anything else, that these hoses can get a little stubborn when they're cold, so they might fight you a little bit. They might not like being stretched all the way out, but you know what? You just gotta fight it and deal with it. It's not a huge issue. But another thing you might run into is after you raise your car, once you lower it down, I've only noticed this when it's cold. For some reason, I don't know why, but sometimes the jacks won't fully go all the way down to where you'll have to hold the button down and step on it and then just wait for it to slowly go down on each side. When you're the only person doing that, it can be a little bit tricky. Something that I've come up with to solve that issue is use some sort of clamp. You don't want to damage it. You want to be very soft and careful with it, but you can just have this hold the button for down, and then you can step on both sides. So that way, if you're the only one there and you don't have someone to help you out, you can still get it done. These jacks do raise the vehicle pretty quickly. They also have a very satisfying sound where if you've ever been in a mechanic shop, it does sound like it. It's like, ooh, yeah. Brings back some good memories. This does have two different height settings to where you can have this fully locked in. There's been a couple scenarios to where I've had to be in between those points to where it's not exactly safe. I wouldn't recommend it, but you know, sometimes you just got to get the job done. And if I'm not underneath the vehicle, if I'm doing something else suspension-wise, you got to get just that right thing, it does work pretty nice to where you can get that exact height and just take every advantage you can when you're trying to work on these vehicles. Something else I could consider a backdraw is how long it does take to put everything together and get it connected. It does take a little bit of time. So if you don't want to have to worry about that, you can keep everything plugged in. You can push the lifts together and then just back in over it. Depends on your car situation and what's going on. But ideally, if you could have everything connected together, that would be super nice. But if you want have your garage looking nice, looking organized, then that's just something you're going to have to deal with. It's not a big issue, but sometimes you just want to know how much time you have to put towards something. And that's it. That's the end of this video. If there's anything I haven't answered, or if there's any questions, concerns, definitely let me know in the comments below. Would I recommend someone buying the QuickJacks? Absolutely. I think they're incredible. If you're a DIYer, home mechanic, or you can even be a professional mechanic, if you ever need to get underneath cars, if you want something that can get your car up quicker than a normal jack of doing all the way around, if you want something stable, if you want to be able to control the height, there's a lot of great customization that you can do with these. And if you do those 3 upgrades I'm recommending, it makes them just that much better. I thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day. Do me a big favor and watch one of these videos over here. And don't forget to tune in next time on For Sale Build.